Oh, we do so love to be right, don't we? We love to be right, and we love to be right even if the cost of our being right is to make certain that someone else is wrong. We are screaming at each other. We are berating each other. We are being violent with each other. We are so insistent that we are right and that the other side is wrong. You can see this happening in every part of our culture. It happens in politics. It happens in religion. It even happens in sports. We're just hollering at each other. But what if the truth is a lot more complex than that? What if the truth is that, you know what, in a way we're all kind of right. And in a way we're all kind of crazy. But let's start with some of the ways that we're right. Maybe MAGA is right. Maybe there's something fundamentally askew, wrong, rigged about how our country is operating. Maybe there are things going on beneath the surface. And there are things going on beneath the surface that aren't right. Maybe people are being left behind. Maybe things that we see as dogma, things that we see as absolutes, maybe they're not always true. So maybe MAGA has a point. And maybe the liberals, progressives are right, too. Maybe compassion is the correct stance to take with our fellow humans, or the most loving, or the most potentially healing approach to take to our fellow humans. So maybe compassion is the place to start from. But maybe the other side is also right, that compassion without accountability just leads to a country where we have all kinds of enabling going on, all kinds of bad behavior being supported by bad behavior and unhealthy behavior and dysfunctional behavior being supported by government programs and government policies and societal attitudes that don't actually work that well and don't actually support people. Maybe there's truth, maybe there's rightness on both sides of this. Maybe it's right to approach homeless people with compassion for the fact that this is a really tough world to live in, that there is not housing or resources sufficient to take care of everyone and make sure that everyone has a safe and healthy place to be. And maybe the more conservative hardline people are right as well, that if you're just giving to people and giving money and free housing and all kinds of time and resources and second chances to people who are not showing any inclination to take responsibility for their own lives, maybe there's truth on that side too. Maybe compassion is important. Maybe accountability is important. Maybe when it comes to racism, it's important. It's crucial to have a historical understanding that black people were brought to this country to be slaves, for crying out loud. And of course, that is going to have an ongoing impact on every level of a community's existence. And we can't ignore that. And maybe it's also something to be said on the MAGA side or the other side, whatever side you want to call it, that says, you know what, if your answer to elevating other people is to make white people small or guilty or wrong, maybe there's something not quite perfect about that either. Maybe there's truth in everything that people are saying. Maybe there's truth that LGBTQ people have the right to express themselves and their love and their identities in any way they choose. And maybe it's also true that we don't have the right to legislate and force people to use the right pronouns and the right letters on the identities. Maybe it's not, maybe the way to build safety for that particular community is not to try to force people to get the words right, to get the labels right, to get the names right, the letters right, whatever the hell right. Maybe there's something true about that as well. Maybe we're all right. Maybe all of us are right. Maybe all of us are a little crazy. Can we begin to have conversations that admit both? Maybe it's really, really crazy for MAGA to talk about personal responsibility, or the Republicans being the party of personal responsibility, when you're not taking responsibility for the fact that you rioted in the Capitol and then asked for everyone to be pardoned, and when they beat up police officers. Maybe that's kind of crazy. And on the liberal, progressive side, whatever you want to call it, maybe it's kind of crazy to just discount the experience of a whole portion of the country that's trying to tell you, something isn't right here. So there's something that needs to be heard. Maybe it's not so brilliant a policy to think that maybe there's something brilliant about having compassion and starting from that place. But maybe it's not so brilliant to endlessly treat everyone as though we are all victims to a system that doesn't work, and we have to help people and help people and help people and help people and give more money and come up with more programs and overlook more kinds of bad behavior and allow homelessness to grow in our cities and our communities, even here in Montpelier, Vermont, a small city, to see it growing and become a worsening problem. Maybe it's not enough to just say that compassion is the only thing that's appropriate and we can only just give, and maybe there is a point for accountability. Maybe we can start to have conversations where we are not so damn sure, so cocksure that we are right and you are wrong. And in order for me to be right, you need to be wrong. MAGA needs to be wrong. The liberals need to be wrong. Maybe we could actually start to listen, because I'm neither MAGA nor a progressive. And I hear people, and what I see is bits of truth, important threads of truth in what everyone is saying, and important cockamamie insanity in what everyone is saying. So maybe we're all right. Maybe we could begin to have conversations with each other where we say, how can I begin to see and understand excuse me, how can I begin to see and understand what may be really true and important about what you're saying? And how can I begin to see the distortions in what I'm saying, as well as the truth in what I'm saying? And how can we begin to have conversations that listen and respect and dig through the layers of anger and insanity and belief systems that make all of us look so crazy, but to dig through the layers to say, what is actually true? What is actually important in what you're saying here? What can I hear? What can I acknowledge in what I'm hearing from you that might allow you on the other so-called side to take a deep breath that someone is recognizing your truth, and then perhaps to begin to hear my truth? How can we begin to have a conversation that holds both sides at once, that says, yes, there's something true about what you're saying. There's something true about what I believe and about what I'm insisting on. There's something valuable in every bit of wisdom, in every bit of experience that each one of us has to share. And there's something kind of crazy about how all of us are sharing it. Maybe we can begin to learn to listen at a deeper level. Maybe we can begin to learn to value what is right and true and good and important in what all of us are saying. And maybe we can begin to have a little more humility about admitting where, well, this is a strongly held belief for me. This is a strong feeling I have. But maybe it's not actually the whole truth. Maybe it's not right. Maybe it's not the only way to go. Maybe the only way to proceed here isn't for me to beat you up until I'm right and you're wrong and I win and you lose, and then we can finally go forward. And maybe it's time to notice that in a polarized argument, both poles are reflecting the other. We're both crazy, folks. We're all crazy. We're all crazy here. Let's begin to stop. Let's begin to listen. Let's begin to peel through the layers of our craziness, of our insanity, of our foolishness, of our lies. Let's begin to find our way through the layers, to find the truth in what each of us is saying, what all of us is saying, and to begin to find some common ground to move forward. We don't have to compromise our essential truths. We don't have to compromise what we fundamentally know to be true. But there's so much in the insanity of this conversation that can be looked through, can be examined at a deeper level to see that the libs you hate are saying important things. The MAGA people you hate have points that are important to listen to and engage with and understand. We are never going to have unity, this American United We Stand bull crap. We are never going to have that unity by vanquishing each other, by making each other wrong. We can begin, maybe. I don't even know if this will work. It's a big fat maybe, but maybe we can begin to find some unity by beginning to admit where, you know what? Even though I've seen you as an enemy, there may be something true and right in what you're saying. And there might be something askew or wrong or foolish or delusional or confused in what I'm saying. Can we begin a different kind of conversation? I have no idea. But I can see for sure that the way we're talking at each other, the way we're beating each other up, the way we're despising each other, the way we're being violent with each other, with words and with weapons, it ain't happening, folks. Maybe we're all kind of right. And maybe we're all kind of crazy. Couldn't that possibly be an interesting way to have a whole new kind of conversation? Thanks for listening. And feel free to come back for more. If you like this, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening.